Um, why is it not set to public? Hey, how you guys doing? I am waiting on Taylor to arrive. I sent him a new link. I'm hoping you guys can see this live stream because what's happening is yeah, it says it's live. I'm trying to change it to where you guys can all see it. Doesn't look like it, just looks like friends are viewing it. One second. I'm trying to make it public, you guys. One second. I'm waiting on Taylor. Edit post, manage feed, save reel. It's not letting me. All right, we're just gonna rock it out just like this. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a great night. Like I said, I am waiting on Taylor to pop up here. I'm waiting. He's not backstage yet, but give me a second, you guys. There's a delay. And let's see. I emailed it to him. Let me see. Just give me a few minutes. I want to play some music, but I don't want to get copyright strikes. So I am playing it in the background, but you probably can't hear it. I hope everybody's having a great night tonight. I am super excited to have him answer some questions for me. I have been just chillaxing today and just getting into it, researching and reading. And so I made kind of like a checklist of things to go through and talk to him about. So I'm going to try to stay on point tonight, stay on topic. We're going to see. You guys know how I get. I can just talk and talk and talk and ramble. So I don't think you can hear the music in the background. Like I said, I don't want to get a copyright strike. I'm listening to some 90s stuff, 80s and 90s music. So SWV, one of my favorite groups, you guys. That the song called Rain, because it's storming here in Texas. Let me hit him up on IG and see. Were you able to obtain email? New link. I don't know. I'm gonna have to work out the StreamYard stuff. What it was is when I first set it up, it was private, and I didn't want that. So I went back in and redid the link, and I thought I made it public, but it looks like only friends can see it. So I'm like, ugh. So I got to figure that out. This is my first time using StreamYard as a host. I've used StreamYard before on YouTube through a couple of other channels where they invited me on and stuff like that. So I was able to use it that way, but it's different when you're the host as in a guest, right? So I'm doing all right, you guys. I got some new books in today, and I'm super excited about that. So we're going to talk about that until he joins us. I got 3 new books from Claudio Nicelli, and I think I did an unboxing earlier today so y'all could see. And I am super excited to read it. You know, I'm always interested about the lands beyond Antarctica and ice walls and the reset and stuff like that. And that's one of the topics that I want to bring up tonight with Taylor. Let me see. Add to the stage. Hey, how you doing?
Good. Hold on, let me turn my Bluetooth off. How you doing?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am super excited. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing me with your folks and everything. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, you're outside. It's beautiful. I see the clouds up there. It's storming here in Houston. It's storming.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Is it warm? I heard it's like because we're getting like a hot front right now. I heard the rest of the country's getting a cold front. I don't know if
it's coming through. So like I don't know if you can hear it because I'm talking through my computer, but it's hail coming down on the roof.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was
Texas
like
is.
80 degrees earlier today, but you already know they messing with the weather. I ain't even gonna get
Yeah,
started.
yeah. Texas got the crazy hail, man. I never seen like they got those inflatable things that go over the cars in
Yeah,
Texas. Yeah, I never
yeah,
saw that anywhere else.
yeah. It's crazy down here. You know I'm originally from California, huh?
Oh, really? What part?
Orange County, Santa Ana. All of my family's
Okay.
out there. Like I'm the only one here. Like me, my
Oh,
kids, and my husband, we're here. My husband's from Houston, and all of my siblings are in Cali. They're from like Riverside. God, where else is everybody's spread out.
the
Orange
big city.
County, Riverside. Everybody's they're like within an hour, 45 minutes of each other. So
Yeah, no, that's smooth, man. Southern California is a nice life, man. I guess Houston's not bad weather though. I mean, I guess all things considered.
yeah, well, I was listening to. I've been like trying to binge watch your stuff and read your books and stuff that I bought, and so it's like I'm just trying to crank out the information. But I was listening to a podcast you did a couple months ago, and you were talking about you were at the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, Sierra Mountains. Is that right? You're
Yeah,
close
yeah,
to the mountains.
yeah. I'm about an hour east of like Fresno or Visalia, Tulare, like going towards the Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Park.
So you're in a perfect spot. Texas is okay, but it's flat and you know it floods here, right? So
Yeah,
hurricanes. I heard you say you don't like hurricanes, alligators, snakes, or big bugs.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if I can avoid them, I get snakes here, I get rattlesnakes here, but there's only like a season I got to worry about them. Like really beginning of spring and then late summer, early fall. After that, I mean, I don't really have to deal with snakes, but I mean, I got to deal with bear and mountain lion. But I feel like you can negotiate with them. You can't negotiate with bugs.
You
Like a
can't
bear,
negotiate with a bear.
like a bear, you could yell at a bear and it's like it knows, like, oh shit. But like if a bug and a snake, they don't care.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful weather there. So, did you get a chance to look over the questions? I said I was going to try to just go through and just chop it up with you and just, because there's a couple of people watching. I resent the link because initially I had it private. I'm trying to make it public. This is my first time using StreamYard. I usually use in the business world, I use Teams or Zoom. So, I did the StreamYard, and so I was having a problem with the link. So that's why I resent it to you. But maybe you could just, kind of give an introduction of what, how you got into this, right? And then, because your content is banging. I've been sharing it on every platform
Thank you.
because it
Yeah.
resonates with me. So I'm going to shut up and let you talk.
No, I mean, we could go over the questions however you want to do it, but I guess for like an intro, like, um, I was just really into sports and I wanted to get an edge. Sports. I was raised kind of in a conspiracy household, though. I guess I got to go back to that because like my
Yes.
mom always questioned the narrative, and then my brother, I shared a room with him. He had a different father than me, and I shared a room with him. He's 7 years older, and he read "Behold a Pale Horse" in like 98, 99.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like 8 or 9, and so I didn't read the book, but he's telling me like, man, there's this group they call the Illuminati. They run the world. The JFK assassinations. This is before YouTube, so I couldn't look up the Zapruder film or none of that. But by the chance, when I got a chance to do it, I was like, oh man, maybe this all checks out. And I got to reading the book myself, and I got exposed to my trainer. He was telling me about like Dr. Sebi when I was like
Mm-hmm.
17. When I was like 17, 18, he told me about Sebi. And I remember hearing about athletes going into hyperbaric chambers to heal.
Yeah.
So Sebi made sense to me, talking about air and circulation and iron and everything. That all made complete sense to me. So then I got into that, the vegan lifestyle, and then I kind of deviated from it in the beginning, and I just got sick, and I was like, man, I know better than how I'm treating myself. So then I fasted because I had no appetite when I was sick. I
Mm-hmm.
fasted. Yeah, I did like 3 days on water and 4 days on juice, and then after that it was just kind of like no going back. Like I felt so much better with less, and then it kind of
Yeah.
yeah. I was already like, man, the food is poison and this type of stuff, and there's a controlling group, and then my mom was really like, my whole life, my mom was like, man, like she lost her job when I was like in 8th grade because she was like questioning, World War II with the genocide numbers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she lost her job. She's a teacher. Like they were having a conversation in class, and the kid said something. She didn't like impose it on him. She was like, I don't know, man. Some people say, and then she lost her job. And I just remember like it changed our life that she lost her
Yeah.
job. So I just remember like, having that in the back of my mind, like, man, this is really sensitive to people. And she would, have her opinions about, those people. So then that always stuck with me. And then, so I feel like certain things just came across my face after that. And I was always questioning it. And so when I got into, you know, I guess Afrocentricity, I guess that was like the next step of it because my mom's family's black, you know what I mean? So, or so-called black. So like I was able to stomach a lot of the stuff that Sebi would say and Dr. Africa would say. It didn't bother me. Like it checked out to me. I was like, this makes sense. The truth's not an insult. So I felt like it kind of gave me an edge in that way. Like I feel like a lot of people wouldn't stomach it. So like, a lot of pale people wouldn't. So like, um, it brought me to a point where I started reading the Medu Netter all 7 volumes of the Medu Netter, and then that brought me into like breath work and everything. I took Dr. Africa's course too,
Mm-hmm.
so I took his course to become a naturopath or whatever, and I met the moderator for the course was a guy named Pharaoh. He's even older than Dr. Africa. He's still living, and he got Pharaoh's house as his Instagram. And he told me about the Medu Netter, so I read all the Medu Netters, and then that was that brought me into the practice of actual breath work and like
Wow.
correctly. So that really, I guess like amplified everything, and like just reading the Medu Netter, I had already had certain concepts brought to me, because my brother's father is a black man too, so my brother he looked very different than me, so like it was certain things that would come from him by way of his father that his dad kind of raised me vicariously. Certain ideas they made their way into my life.
Yeah.
So certain things they were not. It wasn't strange to me to hear certain things like as far as like the real Hebrews are so-called black and all this stuff. So I get into the Medu Netter and he's talking about Egypt being so-called black and Canaan and all these places, all these ancient places being so-called black. And I remember hearing my brother say things like, I mean, it's like a couple like points in my life. Like YouTube used to not be censored.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
YouTube was not censored. Yeah, when I was in high school, because I was in high school from '04 to '08, and so like, I think YouTube dropped when I was like a freshman in like '04.
So you're like what, 36, 37?
I'll be 36 soon.
Okay. Well, my
Yeah.
sons are your age. I have 5 sons.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I guess I'll miss then. Yeah.
My oldest one will be 37 on the 28th of this month. So yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you're the same ages. Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember when YouTube wasn't censored, and I remember hearing people say things like, "Oh, the kings of Scotland were black," or
Yep.
the King George III was black, the last king of America, and all these things. So that I don't know where those videos went. I'm sure they probably got deleted. Those channels probably got deleted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I remember that. I remember all of that stuff being around, and it never bothered me. So like those concepts were there, and then I remember my brother having a conversation one time at one point when we were living together. um, he was like, "Yo, you ever heard that slavery didn't happen or something like that?" He was basically saying like it didn't exist, or we didn't have like the correct context to put it in, but he was
Right.
saying like slavery, didn't happen, or different stuff like that, and then always had it in the back of my mind because my mom she would always harp on like her mom being Native American and stuff like that, and so the pieces were there. I just didn't, I was just kind of in a fog, like ultimately from, just from hospital birth and circumcision, vaccines, the poisonous food, having a
Yeah.
false identity. That was all really keeping me in like I was like coming out of that. So the dots were there, but I couldn't put it together
How was
really.
high school for you? Not to cut you off because they teach a curriculum. So, what you're used to in your household versus
Yeah,
blending in with everybody else and listening to these teachers teaching, you like, that's full of shit. It's kind
yeah,
of hard for you to stay focused, right?
yeah. I mean, I was a very poor student up until college. I was 1.7, 1.8 GPA, 2.0 if I'm lucky. But I think I graduated high school with like a 1.8 or something. Like, I was averaging like a D. And like it was, I don't know.
Because you knew school was bullshit.
Yeah, I was sleeping a lot. Yeah, exactly. My mom was a teacher, and she was telling me like this is bullshit, and then and so then I was sleeping in class a lot. That was kind of, I didn't have the energy. I mean, I was eating food that was really not designed you know for anybody, but I definitely had, I feel like, enough I guess genetics, enough melanin to where my body was like, we can't work with this, so we're going to
Yeah.
sleep. So like, I guess certain people, I do feel like they have a lot of melanin to where like they could just power through that. But I didn't have
Yeah.
that much. I didn't have a super abundance. I had enough to be sensitive to things, but not enough to be like, yeah, I can eat this, and actually be able to do homework and all of this. I could only just play sports. That's all I had energy for. I didn't have energy to go to school too. So I was just sleep. Only reason I went to school was to play sports. I would sleep all day in class, and then barely get by, and then be there to go to practice. Because you can't go to practice if you don't go to class. So
Did people gravitate towards you because you had this different about you, this different aura about you? Because I mean, you're tall, I know, but I'm just saying the way you carry yourself and the way the way you articulate. You know what I'm saying? Because you stand out. Like you don't fit in with everybody else, right? With their concepts and stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I went through the ringer in some respects, because yeah, I think it was all supposed to be the way it was, but it was a lot of so-called white people feeling like I should choose their side, and a lot of you know so-called black people being like, you're not black enough.
Oh
So
my gosh.
it
Yeah.
was a lot I had to go through a lot of that. I mean, even in my family, I feel like my family was generally cool with me because they knew my story was really not, wasn't like, I wasn't really, I didn't really know what it was like to kind of be considered a white person until like leaving the nest, really, because pretty much people knew what I was coming out of. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
raised in a big city, and I was coming out of like circumstances that a lot of people knew. Like, my mother had got shot, and then she met
So
my
sorry to hear
dad.
that.
Yeah, so she met my dad because she got shot, because he was a physical therapist, and so she kind of just ended up being with him because she wanted stability. Like, it wasn't like she was in love. Like, she loved my brother's dad, but
Yeah.
like, so the situation was just like kind of like a sort of like down and out survival situation. So her family knew, like, damn, this is sucks. I mean, we know, like, it's not, but at the same time, it's an ugly reminder of the situation. So I think people had like mixed feelings, ironically, about the
Yeah.
situation. But I never knew, like, no, I didn't know my dad's family. Like, I only knew my mom's family. Like, so that was my life. I never like claimed to live the experience that a darker skinned person lived. But because my brother would get treated different. He's not even dark skinned. He would get treated different than me. And I'm like, damn, you're not even, you're not, what I'm saying? You're not black. They treat you like a, crazy. And we'll be next to each other. People don't know we're brothers. And they'll treat him a totally different way than they treat me. And I'm like, wow. So racism to me was early. Like, I could see the differences, how people would treat people, and like, and then how I would get treated. So we kind of used it like that movie, The Prestige. Like, nobody knew we were brothers.
Ah.
And so then we would get the benefits of the other one. I would get certain things that he wouldn't get, and vice versa. And so it really were like two arms of one body in a lot of ways. And so it didn't allow me to be ignorant of certain things. And I felt like, um, I don't know, my experience. I, I don't really get mad at so-called black people for being the way they are. I think they have to be protective of themselves, of their core and everything, and their peoples. So I don't really look at it like I expect them to think I'm black or something. So, but at the same time, I know what I've lived and what I come from, who I'm related to, my family is, the line I come from. So it's like, it's a funny place. Like, leaving from New Jersey, going into the world, and it was like, now I'm just a white person to people. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. This is like being in like having a cloak on, kind of, in a lot of ways. But um, it gave me a perspective. It got me in a lot of rooms that other people wouldn't have got in, because of the
Yeah.
skin. So I use that to my advantage to help my family and people that I grew up with that were melanated folks. So I did what I could, to because that's the only people I knew. It wasn't even like I didn't have options like that to where I was like benefiting off of whiteness for white people. It was like, this is the people I know. These are all my friends and these are all my family or this. So these are the only people that show me any love. And so it was just reciprocated as best I knew how. So that was it. When I went out into the world, I could see like how on the differences on the inside, how people look at things differently, even
Yes.
though, and then so it gave me like a funny perspective, in life. But um, I feel like I used it to kind of just like power through stuff because I just knew like I didn't have to really worry about acceptance because I already wasn't gonna ever be.
Yeah. I see
So
what you're saying.
yeah, so it always let me be like, well, I'll just stay objective and stay as true as I can be and let the chips fall. There's nothing I can really do. If people got a problem with me for surface issues, I can't. If I look like the enemy, I'm like, look, all right, I get it, man. I'm not trying to, I'm not going to try to convince people, but I'm not going to make it worse for you. That's kind
Right.
of all I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the fact, but you know what, the cool part about it is that your mom's an educator and she could already see through the BS. And so just you growing up in a household like that is priceless. With your brother reading Behold the Pale Horse and with William Cooper, and of course he's unalive. They got rid of him.
Yeah, yeah,
Anybody who speaks up.
yeah, exactly. And it just sent me down a rabbit hole, man. I mean, reading that and then going
When
away.
did you really find out that this was like the, I don't know, ground zero for everything? Like America is the true old world. You've always known it. It's been a couple of years. I mean, back when you were in high school. I mean, when did you kind of piece it together and figure that out?
No, I had the idea that people didn't come from Africa had been brought to me several times. I didn't think that this was the origin of all peoples until like 2019.
Yeah.
But like but I had had conversations with people, arguments with people, and then because it always boiled down to like, what am I really citing? Like, I'd have the conversations with people like, I remember one time I had a conversation with a Mexican lady, and I was like, man, everybody come from Africa anyway. And she was like, I don't believe that either. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, how do I really know? You know, I really don't know. But I was like, I was like, well, I mean, everybody comes from black people, but whether it's Africa or not,
Yep.
the original of your face or whatever face is going to look closer to a so-called black person. And so,
And a
but I
lot of
remember,
people they are comfortable when you say that. A lot of people just cannot wrap their heads around it. Seriously, because they're still heavily in the system and they're still indoctrinated. You know what I mean? So when
yeah,
you start talking like that, you gotta, like, I don't say that to everybody.
yeah, yeah, no, it's reserved for certain people, and I really do think like it lets you know like the level of the sophistication of the psyop because
Yeah.
like, I mean, if it went to that length to where it's like we're gonna falsely identify with this path of migration and do all of this, all of this effort, and if they're going that far, then it's like, it kind of lets you not even pay attention to certain things like politically and other stuff like that. I think it's not even possible because you're like, man, the psyops are so much deeper than that, where we got this whole narrative that was created and assumed by millions of people, like Pan-Africanism, like that whole thing is like that's maybe more destructive than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Like,
I
so
feel
it's like,
like everybody's under a spell. Like they're like, some people are waking up, but they're under a spell and they just can't snap out of it. They can't, like I always say, when you lay down and you rest at night, you actually are living. You're actually in the dreaming state. You're awake. And when you come back into this vessel and you wake up like now, we're actually dreaming. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
everything is inverted. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, for real. I mean, and that that type of stuff, I feel like, all right, like it's like a buffet, man. That's what Pharaoh used to always say. Dr. Africa's guy, he used to always say, like, man, it's like a buffet. Take what you want and then leave. It's not everything's for you. And so some people do have information and knowledge and it comes in different packages, and it's just like up to you to not be like um assumptive or whatever, like, because I've noticed that a lot of people, like, I got into Dr. Sebi, I got into Dr. Africa, I got into everybody, and then I got
What
into
about
Bobby.
Dilbert Blair, Bobby Hemmett?
Yeah, Bobby Hemmett, Jewel Prookrum. I got into, but I feel like a lot of Sebyites and people like that will never listen to what Bobby Hemmett says because he's not in good shape and he doesn't eat like them.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, it doesn't really matter. What he's saying is true. Like, it's unfortunate his body isn't in a better condition, but it doesn't really matter. Like, what he's saying is true. So I feel like that Bobby Hemmett really kind of solidified that for me, that the dreams are reality and that this is something else.
Yeah, the simulation. I like to say, I don't know
Yeah,
what, holographic reality,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, and
yeah,
I actually do believe when you meet people or people come into your life, this is gonna sound kind of woo-woo, but when you meet certain people that come into your life, it's a timing issue. And it's almost like on the other side, you connected with these people and you made an agreement. So at a certain date, time, and place, you would come together or you would connect. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So, and I know some people like, oh, that's hocus pocus, that's woo-woo, but I'm telling you, I just think things are stranger than what people realize. And I know there's multiple realities, multiple dimensions. I ain't gonna get too off on that, but I just really feel like, when you get to a certain level of understanding, your videos popped up. Like, seriously, I didn't come into this knowledge as far as America being the true old world. This is 2026. So it's probably like 2022, 2023. So maybe 4 years ago. And look how I'm 56, I'll be 57 in a couple weeks. So it took me this long to get to this point. Like, I always knew something was wrong, Taylor. I always knew that something was not right from day one when I was a little kid. Because I had got a vaccine like everybody else. And I had the MMR, which is the measles, mumps, and rubella. And I
yeah,
took the vaccine and I stopped breathing. They took me to the hospital and I died on the table. And I was hovering above the table looking at the doctors and the nurses. I stayed in the hospital for 10 days after that. And when I came out of it, I was completely different. The experience I had when I left my body and went through the tunnel and all that, it changed me. So when I came back, I was different. And I just knew right then and there, this was bullshit.
yeah.
And I think I was like, what, 8 or 9 or 10, no more than that. So I can identify with you in that when I was in school, I knew it was bullshit. The teacher was teaching certain things, especially when it came down to the Native Americans and the Indians and stuff like that. I grew up knowing that my family was, a Cherokee, which is what we were identified with, a Cherokee, but then they reclassified as Black and they identify with Black. And so, I grew up knowing that, but when you go to school and the teachers are teaching a class, and they look different than what it's kind of like I used to get sent to the principal's office all the time.
Yeah,
So not
yeah,
to cut you off, but so
yeah.
you're fading out. I can't even see you. I see trees.
No, I'm about to walk back into the to my place. I'm my bad. I'm sorry. I got
No,
caught
that's
out.
okay. But what I was gonna say is I know we got some couple people watching. So for me, with the America is the true old world, I realized that when I started looking at the genetics of it, the DNA, the genetics, when the was it the A00 haplogroup, right?
Yeah.
Oldest known on the continent or the plane of existence would be, I think it's out of South Carolina, North Carolina or South Carolina, one of the two. You can correct me, but
I'm pretty sure it's South Carolina. But
yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, bingo. So to me, it's like when I found out that they push all these places out like Egypt and the pyramids over there, and then the civilizations all around the world, but they never talk about what's going on here in the Americas. Like I started with like Eric Van Daniken and Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge, Matt LaCroix, all those folks on ancient aliens, ancient astronaut theory and stuff like that. That's how I started into that, right? And what got me was they always talked about over there, but they never ever talk about what's right under our feet. And then I knew then from there, it was a big ass psyop. Like they're trying to get people to look over here. when the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, right? So I know, like,
Yeah.
the videos that you've done excellent, and I can't wait till you come out with more content. But the videos that you break down, they're like not even 3-4 minutes, and you do excellent work. So I've been resharing them. So, but my thing is, when you talk about mythology, right? So my question though is, with America, like, everything has a structure. So I know that we're under kind of like a pyramid structure, right? Is that how you came to your understanding, your knowledge, is that there is a hierarchy here in this plane of existence, right?
Yeah, I definitely think there's order. I definitely feel
Yeah.
like there's definitely order in the system, that we're in. I don't think that the order can really be violated. I think, we don't really know. We're operating kind of like oblivious to the order, but
Yeah.
like you can, I don't think you can break the laws. I think you just break your body.
Yeah.
I think, so yeah, I mean, I lived, at one point I lived in Egypt, the one over there, for like
Oh, you did?
7-8 months.
Eight
Yeah, I lived
months?
over there
How
for like
was
seven.
it?
It was a good experience ultimately, but um another thing that solidified, this was 2017, 2018, and it really solidified this, what you're saying, because I was, I would play football there, and then I had like a bunch of time to, like, downtime after the season, to travel to, I wanted to see the sights. You see like Luxor and Aswan and all of that, and then they have Abu Ramses temple, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
down there and you realize, like, this entire temple was cut apart and moved. This isn't actually where it was originally so-called found,
Oh, really?
because they created a dam on the Nile, and they flooded the whole area where the temple used to be. So before they did that, they removed the whole temple and elevated it. And so when you go there, you would think, like, this is the temple, this is it, but this is a total, like, manufactured temple that was cut apart and recreated. So it was all checking out to me, like, I was like, man, this could definitely be all just like a Disneyland. Like, they made this like for people, the whole
Oh,
thing, like it's. So I don't really know the extent of what's real and what's fake over there. I mean, obviously the pyramids are massive, the ones in Giza, but I mean, there's some, when you look at some of the hieroglyphs in Luxor, it looks like that's more recent. It doesn't look like it's old, and so I'm like, it kind of, my experience of being over there, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is really a younger place.
that is what I think too. I think the oldest civilization is obviously here, and then we, after so many resets, because according to what I've read and studied, we're on the sixth cycle, so we're number six. So there's been five before us, and it's hard to say when they actually all happen. I know Noah's flood was one of it. And I saw your video and you saying the Tower of Babel's another one. The most recent, kind of hard to pinpoint, is around that reconstruction, like the 1700s, late 1700s, mid 1700s was one, and it's been going ever since. And I think we're due for another one. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, that's just my theory, but from what I've read. But I feel like the oldest stuff, I was looking at Mud Fossil University, Roger Spur. And when you start talking about mythology, I'm just now getting into that. Like, I know about the plasma and some of the things that described and stuff with I cannot think of that guy's name. He's a scientist, and he wrote the book The Adam and Eve Story. Have you read that?
I don't think so.
I can't think of his is it Velinovsky? He wrote a book that the CIA dubbed classified, and I have the book, but it's like 26 pages. They kind of shortened it, blacked it out, and they only published or released only 26 pages of it. I have it. And he talked about the plasma event that happened, and he theorized all of that, and he has proof and everything. But when you started talking about mythology, and I was like, that makes so much sense. See, I was always on the path of mud fossils. So when you talk about America being the old world, I was looking at the mountain ranges and how they, we were taught that it's geology, but truly it's giant trees that they cut down. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that was where I came from, but you gave me a different perspective on that. Now I'm
Yeah,
starting to look at it from your viewpoint.
I think it's. I definitely think it's. There was massive trees too, though. I don't think that that's out of the question. I think that there was massive trees. Everything was bigger if
Yes.
there was actually harmony on the earth. I think
Yep.
everything was bigger or had the
And
potential.
from what I've read too about the world tree, right? You know about that because that was out of I don't know if you ever heard this guy named Claudio Nicelli. Have you ever read any of his work?
No.
The Lands Beyond Antarctica, so forth. He's got a whole series where he went beyond the ice walls and he went underground and he met these different entities. These I don't like to say aliens because they're actually Tyrians, reptilians, but there's like 9 different factions of them. And he met one of the factions. But anyway, he has a whole series of books out where he's been releasing them, and I got 3 of them today, and I've read them over on my YouTube and on Facebook and stuff. But he talks about it extensively, how there is a world tree in the center, and there's also the Black Magic Mountain, or Magic Black Rock, or Paramount Magic Mountain, or whatever. I know about that, and I know that that mountain is directly under the North Star Polaris. Okay, so I do know that because I think maybe even you had it on one of your videos, right? Where you were talking about, maybe you did or you didn't. I watched so much stuff where you were talking about how the maps were. I think you did something on that. And I don't know if it was on the Babel video or not. I'm sorry.
I touched on it a little bit in the Babel video, I guess, the maps.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end, I put the Black Rock.
So do you so my thing is with that. So could you we talked a little bit about America being the old world, right? And I'm trying to stay on point because we're talking about so much stuff. Because I was so excited that you said, yeah, let's do a podcast, that I wanted to make sure that I hit all the things, but I could talk for hours, and I want to be respectful of your time. But can you kind of walk us through your vision or your idea of like what's happened between now and the last reset? You can do it like really quick. Like, what do you just hit the high points of it? Like, the high points of how this last reset went, like the fall of Tartary, for example, because like you said, Tartaria was all melanated, right?
Yeah. I mean, they might. I mean, they could have very well had some pale people within the system, but they were not the majority. They were, I mean, it was definitely, that was a rarity.
Yeah.
It's like if they did exist at all, they were not like a large population, and it would be like first generation ones. It's not like now where they got pale people breeding with other pale people for generations, and So I think that if there were any, there were small numbers, if any. But yeah, I think that as far as the timeline, that's where I really enjoy the discussion, because I can't really be too concrete on everything, but I do have, like, I guess, points that where the timeline, I guess, hinges on, like, as far as like, okay, so I always like point to the fall of Rome, 476 being I guess a reset in itself, and then it's tough because you got reset wars, and so I don't really know how many are like sparked by an event or how many are just like following events or even preceding events. Because I don't know, like, if you got hit to it and they're like, okay, the thing's about to reset, we're going to war before it gets there. And so I guess, like, important dates to me, 1812.
The comet.
I mean, the Civil War. Yeah. It's tough because, man. So yeah, the Civil War, 1812. The Napoleon. I mean, that's like kind of the extension of Napoleonic Wars and the French Revolution, and then American Revolution. That's kind of like all in the same spot. And so something happened, I think, in that period there between 1773 and 1865. I think some type of reset happened there. So I think, I think multiple celestial events happened. And then I mean, because they switched the Julian calendar
Yep.
in what, like 1760 or something like that, somewhere in
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
So I think something happened in that period right there, and uh, so we're talking about 1470 between 1476 and 17. So that 300-year period from 1476 and 1776, I think.
And that's probably when they added 1,000 years, no?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think. Yeah, the 1,000 years were added somewhere in there, somewhere in that
Yeah.
period. So, but I do think it was like a process to get to 1476. I think it was like 200 years of collapse. I don't think it was just like all overnight.
You
I
know,
think.
yeah, I don't think so either. Because you got to look at it started here and it kind of spread out. And so you've got different groups, you got different groups on different continents that were fighting, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and Pharaoh, he used to always say that Asia was the second most ancient civilization after the Americas. He was always saying that everything went from the Americas into Asia, and then I guess Europe was later, and then Africa. So
yeah, that's
like
what I read too. Yeah.
so so I mean that's why I always like point to Genghis Khan taking over in the 1200s, because I think they were like that was a major reset war period or something. That was I don't know, because it looked like from 1200 to 1476 there's just constant takedowns of,
Yeah.
and so everything's collapsing as far as civilization at that point. And I don't know if there was an event before, or that was just leading up to an event, or if they're really cyclical way more than we think, every 150 years or something, every 180 or something. I don't know, but yeah, so I think the 1200s leading up to 1476 was a major transition to wipe a lot of the history, and then adding history, obviously. And
You think the Vatican had a lot to do with that? Because I do.
yeah, and I think the building itself was there before the whole situation.
They took it, they hijacked it.
Yeah, so I think it was being used, maybe not in such a nefarious way. I think it probably was just being used, I guess, for what it was designed for, and then it just got hijacked, like you said. So, I think from 1476 to 1776, something probably happened in that phase too. Because, like you said, 1664, you get a massive comet, and I mean, the whole world seeing these comets for 4 months at a time is insane.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like something
And the
just.
last one we had was in 2024. You know that, right? That was the last one we had that we could see.
Yeah, and then there was that one they found in 2020 as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't really know what it all means, because we are kind of severed from some of those meanings, like what these checkpoints mean. But and I can project, I got like guesstimations of what it means, but it seems to be like this whole, like it's a clock, like the zodiac is a clock.
It is. Yeah, I agree with you.
So I think that it's like almost like one of those sand timers or whatever you call them, hourglasses or whatever. Because like if we don't get our shit together, I think that it just resets. And then
Exactly. But here's what I was going to ask you, and this is going to lead into the next question. I know you are heavily into breath work, and you said you were, vegan and so forth. I'm assuming you do yoga as well, right? What can someone who sees this video, a basic understanding of what you can do to ascend, right? To get to that next level. Because obviously I know my pineal gland is somewhat calcified. I know. I do really good for 2 weeks, Tyler, and then I'll fall off. Like I will do, I'll eat really healthy, H3, and then coconut water, and I'll eat good foods, but then I'll fall off. So I got to get past that 2 week marker. So for me, it's like, what advice can you give someone like me or someone who wants to start to kind of make that change? Like I have so much knowledge and I'm not applying it. I apply it to a certain extent and then I stop, right? Because I feel like I'm in between two worlds because I work from home and I have a stressful job. I'm an accountant, a tax accountant. And so I work a lot of hours. So like right now, I'm just existing because I get up, I work 12 hours, 13 hours. I go have lunch or dinner with my husband. take a shower, and I go to bed. If I exercise or walk, it's during lunch. I'm like focused on work and grabbing a bag or making that money, which I really shouldn't be. But so
Especially this
I
time
have
of
to
year.
learn how to have balance, Taylor. So I wanted to pick your brain about that part. Like, what is the basic thing? More sunlight, breath work, grounding, changing your water, changing your food. What advice can you give me or someone like me?
Yeah, I think it's the timing of it. I think that helps a lot. I don't know how synced up you are with the moon cycles, but like the new moon is a good time to start a fast or start a diet change. I think if you look at like your cycles as far as in respect to the moon cycles,
Hmm.
you might see some correlation between your habits and when you fold on them.
Yeah.
Mojo.
You
Yeah,
have a
I
dog
think
named
that.
Mojo?
Yeah.
I do too. I have a Chihuahua named Mojo.
Really?
He's 2 pounds. He's like this little.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. It's funny because I named him after Permian High School in Texas.
Oh
They're the
wow.
Mojo. They're the
And
Mojo
he's
or whatever.
mean. He's not a friendly Chihuahua. He's not. I have one
Okay.
that'll lick you to death, and I have one that will bite you. He's the one that will bite you.
Oh man, I always wanted a Chihuahua, but yeah, yeah,
They're too yappy.
yeah. I love them though, man. I think they're kind of like little pit bulls.
Yeah, they are.
They stay close to you, but
And they don't know that they're small.
yeah,
They have no fear.
yeah, you gotta love them. But no, I think yeah, starting to fast on the moon cycles and then um, herbs, herbal combinations at different times in the moon cycle definitely help. And then you know, as much hydration as possible. I like to do breath work before food and water every morning. Like
You
I'll get
do?
up the crack of dawn. Yeah, I get up at the crack of dawn, take a little walk, get my blood in my limbs or whatever, and then do some breath work, and then after that stretch, and start my day. I feel like whenever that is like hampered or whatever, if I can't get a complete session in or if it's rushed, it really does alter the day. Like
How
I
long do
think
you do
that
your
like if you
breath
can,
work?
man, I do it for at least an hour in the morning. But I
Okay.
think people getting started with it, you could do 15 minutes 4 times a day, and like to get that hour because I think once you hit that hour a day mark for 5 days, I think there's really no going back. But like if you can get an hour in one sitting, then you're really going to start the process because in the beginning of it, usually people don't work their diaphragm muscles in that way, so they kind of feel sleepy and tired in the beginning. You might yawn and maybe even fall asleep, but
Mm-hmm.
but then after about a week, maybe 2 weeks of that, you're going to start to process a lot of emotion, a lot of pent up emotion, and your appetite will shift dramatically. I mean, if you can get to an hour a day for 5 days, your life will shift dramatically. And
Really?
I think,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's a really big foundation is for just getting your nervous system calibrated to where when you kind of have like a buffer, like a padding when you meet the day. Every day your nerves are if you beat up your nervous system and then you go out in the day and you run into temptation or you run into conflicts, it's your nerves are just they're shot kind of. But if you establish that every day before you go into that, I feel like it makes it so much easier
So
to
you
navigate.
recommend Winhoff?
I think that's more so for me, from my experience. That is for when you need to when you need to cool down.
Okay.
Like if you're doing parasympathetic, like Mojo, come here. So if you're doing like 1 to 4 breaths per minute,
What kind of dog is
Mojo.
he?
He's a pit and mixed with lab, man. I never
Oh,
had a dog that
okay.
barked. Yeah, Mojo. So yeah, if you're doing 1 to 4 breaths per minute, then you're going into parasympathetic nervous system, and that's really what you're in when you're dreaming, or
Yeah.
all of that when you're going into a dream before you start to go into REM. When your body is cooling down and starting to really calm down, it's taking less breaths per minute. But if you're consciously doing 1 to 4 breaths per minute, your body will heat up significantly. Like you're gonna, because you have more carbon in your system. So when you reduce your amount of breaths per minute and you're doing them correctly, you're gonna get hot. You should sweat. So like if you do that for 15, 20 minutes, 1 to 4 breaths a minute for 15, 20 minutes, you're gonna get so hot that you might get nervous to where you get uncomfortable, fidgety, you might want to move. If you don't, if you just sit there and just transition into Wim Hof and cool off with that, then you can continue on. So I'll do 15, 20 minutes of parasympathetic and then do Wim Hof for 10 minutes, you know, and that just cools the system down. And then so my nerves kind of relax again. And then I get back into slow breathing for another 15, 20 minutes. And that's how you can do very long sessions, because you're not, you're exercising both nervous systems and regulating basically. So I
You
think,
have videos?
yeah, I got videos on my YouTube.
I think I did see some of them. So I'm typing notes as you're talking. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the base. The base is the parasympathetic, activate your vagus nerve and really start to detox and
Parasite cleanse, liver cleanse. You recommend all of that, right? Because you do have to reset your system.
yeah, and I think it should be more so like this is your lifestyle instead of trying to do
Okay.
it instead of trying to do it all at once. I think you can make it tough for people if they try to do it all at once. Like if you cycle on to like black walnut and wormwood capsules for like 30 days and then cycle off for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then cycle back onto it, then I think you need, because you're really just trying to get contrast to get perspective. So then you don't have pressure from temptations. Like things would just be more obvious to you. I feel like the more that you improve your circulation and then go through these basically alchemically contrasting experiences where press on your tissue with these detoxing herbs and different high vibrational substances, fruits or whatever. You're pushing on your system in a way that's going to give you a response, and then you drop the herbs for a couple weeks and you can see the contrast of how it feels. You fast maybe for a couple of days, remove some ingredients, then you try to reintroduce things, and going through these this constant like back and forth of like process of elimination, that makes it obvious what you cannot tolerate, like what your
Yeah.
body does not want. And I
What
think
do you think about, not to cut you off, what do you think about eating for your blood type? I'm just curious.
I've heard of it. It probably does. There probably is something to it, but I from my experience, when I look up my blood type and what they say I'm supposed to eat, I'm like, well, this has not been my personal experience, so I don't know if these books are just off, but I do think it's probably some significance to it. I
That
think it
makes
does.
sense.
I think it does.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, because I have a couple of books on mine, and again, I got to that 2 week mark, and I'm like, so I know any kind of constant change, you got to at least hit what, 30 days, or is it 40 days or something like that? 6 weeks? I forget. But if
yeah,
you can hold it that long, then inevitably you've mastered it and you can change it and you can stick with it, is what I'm saying.
yeah. No, I definitely think if you get through a moon cycle, 28 days, you definitely are heading in the right direction from there. I think it just, because even if you deviate, if you're doing all the work that you can for the whole moon cycle and then you deviate, then I feel like you start to feel things more and more instantly. Like the karma starts to come back instantly. Like, oh man, I'm feeling this exchange. This was not a good exchange. And I think that from there, respond accordingly to life. I don't think you have to, govern things as much as strictly after that, after you reach, a certain point of just consistent breath work. The breath work, the metric that is used is typically 100 days.
100 days?
100 days of breath work. Not, just keeping the habit. No, you might eat something that you're not supposed to eat. You might smoke. You might drink. But if you get up the next day and do that breath work for 100 days, no matter what you do, they say that's the biggest, like as far as like transformative practices. That would transform more than anything, because you really, like you're really rewiring like almost like the software of your system, like your body.
Yeah.
Like you can mechanically cleanse. You can go through parasite cleanses and herbal detoxes and stuff like that, but you have to like rewire your thinking and your response systems and your nervous system so that you're not resisting. You don't want to be in a state of resistance where like things are really tempting you, like where you're like, man, I really want this donut right now. You really want it to be like, this is not, I'm not even in a paradigm where that's something that could tempt me. It's not, there's no pressure from that. But I think if you just mechanically cleanse, you're going to stay in resistance. You're going to be constantly like, in like a compensation relationship where you're like, I quit smoking for a couple of days. I quit eating this for a couple of days, and now the pendulum just swings back and forth. But if you really do like that gradual rewiring, then I think
That makes
that,
sense.
yeah, I think it makes it to where it's no longer resistance anymore. Like the body is clearly communicating to where you just not ignoring it. I think it's a little easier to ignore it when we're compromised chemically, and the more that you're doing breath work and creative outlets are big, and the more that you get into that, like a creative process in conjunction with breath work, I think fasting comes. um, your diet auto corrects itself, and when you have those two things, because like the mechanical stuff is just it'll follow. But if you try to just do all mechanical cleansing without the metaphysical or what have you, the breath and everything, the intangible stuff, then I think it doesn't really matter. You're always going to be in resistance. You're always going to be like, oh man, I want to smoke and drink or whatever, or eat this, or
Yeah.
but I think if you really give the breath a chance, then it's not, you're not going to be fighting. It's not like fighting the urge.
Have you done the 40-day? Have you done 40 days fasting? Have you
I've
done
done
that?
40 days. I've done like 94 days on coconut water, but I never, with just
94
water.
days. Oh my God.
Yeah, just water. With just water, I've only done 13 days of just water. I've never gotten past the 2 week point. And
One of my sons did a 40-day fast during the crown virus, and he popped his gland and he went left. Like I thought he was going to have a schizophrenic breakdown or a nervous breakdown, but it actually, he became entangled, and he's not the same person he was before. I'll just put it that way. Something happened with him. He transformed or transitioned or something, but
in a good way,
um
or what are you
it
saying?
was a good, yeah, it's a good way. And the weird thing is, he's met other people online, like he's over on TikTok. He's met other people online, and they all have the same kind of, I don't want to say symptoms, but they have the same kind of reaction where he gets these clicks in his ear. I don't know. And he's met other people that are like that. But yeah, he's transitioned. I mean, he lost a lot of weight too during that fast. I think he lost like maybe 35 pounds. I mean, he was already
Yeah,
small anyway, but he
yeah,
got down like really super small. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When I did the coconut water thing, I got down to
Cause you're
like,
like real tall, right? So,
yeah, yeah. So I got down to like 177, and
oh my gosh.
my normal weight's like anywhere from like 205 to 215. So like I got down to like 177 because the whole year of 2019 and the end of 2018, I just did liquids. I did like, if it was, if I wasn't having coconut water, I would just have like smoothies and green juices, protein shakes here and there, but mostly just smoothies and green juices and coconut water. And
Did
then
you ever go to, like, when you do that, do you ever go to like get your blood work done or check your levels to see what you may be off with? Because I know we're comprised of 13 cell salts, and typically you're in the oven for 9 months. So you're missing like what, 3 months of you're not 13 but 12 cell salts. So you're missing like three. Typically people are running low on three of those 12 cell salts. I was just curious if you ever, blood work and stuff like that when you do that. No?
no, I didn't do breath. I mean, I didn't do blood work, but I I kind of went on. I hit a weird spot where like I didn't really know how to be.
Okay.
like I felt so okay, but I didn't know how to like interact in the world. Like I had got an offer to play in Finland, and then I was like, man, I'm not really in a place where I could take this. I'm so light right now. I cannot go and play sports right now. And I feel okay about it. Like my body still feels good on the inside. Like my joints feel good. My range of motion feels good. My clarity
Mhm.
is, my energy is stable, but I don't really know how to interact with other people. And
Yep.
I remember I got an offer to play in France, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to pass this up. So I jumped out of coconut water back into smoothies and protein shakes. And I felt like a significant difference even in that. Like my body really had adjusted to just coconut water. And I felt
Really?
like, yeah, it was like, I don't know, like I couldn't talk to people about what I was experiencing in my life because I felt like it was so foreign. So it kind of put me like in an isolated, like distant place. Like, and I hadn't really, I guess, it gotten strong enough inside myself to not care about that. Like I was like, I don't know. I guess I could. I wanted to be. I wanted to be received. I still wanted to deal with people. Like now, I feel like if I was to get into a rhythm of that, I don't know if I'd ever go back. But at the time, I was like, you know, kind of struggling. Like, how do I even talk to people? How do I tell them about my day? Like my day is totally different. It's like it's just centered around breath work and like retrieving coconuts. Like it's not even. It was just,
I love it.
yeah, like it was such a different. I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to, talk about anything. Like, I
So
didn't, because
you weren't even like partaking in like the outside, like social media and news and all that. You weren't. You like tuned away from all that, right?
I would still post here and there, but I felt like I was doing just a lot of reading. I
Yeah.
read, I read a lot, and I just like walked my dogs and like kind of just existed. I feel like I had a really good relationship with my family though at the time because I was so calm that like nothing was triggering me, and I was just like, oh man, like everything kind of felt good. I felt like at home with my family, um, and it was. I don't know. I felt pretty supported in life in general because I felt like I didn't need anything. So it was a weird place. Like I felt like I don't need anything. I'm okay. Me and my family are good, and I just don't know how to like engage in the world. Like I was so used to, I guess, like conflict and resistance and um, just relating on a. Because I quit. I was a smoker on and off smoking weed throughout my 20s. So then at that time I quit weed too. So I wasn't smoking.
You
I wasn't.
stopped? Really?
Yeah, I quit. I haven't smoked weed now in years, but like at the time, it was like this is 2019. I quit weed, and then it was a big part of my day. So I was like, man, I don't really know how to behave in a lot of ways. I don't know what to talk to people about. I'm not hanging out with weed heads anymore. You know,
I
I didn't
love it.
know. I didn't know what to do. I just felt very. I felt like okay inside myself, but I felt like kind of alone, and like I just didn't know how to function. I feel like now I would fare better because I feel like I would get into some sort of craft or something. I don't care if it's knitting or something. Like I would do something. At the time, I kind of was just like oblivious, and I got really into reading and writing. And I think I might have just like overdid that. Like I think,
No, because it was coming out of you. Like when you're tapped in like that, you have a direct connection. We all have a connection, but you have to tap into it. And that's what you were going through. So that was your creative outlet is writing, right?
yeah. I mean, I was writing so much. Like I got to a point because it became mechanical. Then I think this is the problem. It became. I think writing has its place, but it became mechanical. Like I was writing the Tao Te Ching. I wrote it in English. Then I wrote it in Spanish. Then I wrote it in German. Then I started writing it in French. And then I was like, I'm gonna start trying to write it with my left hand because my right hand started to get carpal tunnel.
Wow.
And because I was writing so much, I kept doing it like in just like in a regimented mechanical way. It wasn't
So
like
you speak multiple languages? You were able to write it and speak multiple, or you just wrote it?
oh, I can't speak them. I mean, I can read. I can read because I studied Latin, so I think I can read. I can read a lot of Latin. I can get the roots of a lot of Latin words, but I can't go and speak French and Spanish or I can speak a lot of German though. But because I lived in Germany and Switzerland for a little while, but for a few years. But like I I really, it was more mechanical. So I wasn't absorbing it like I would be if I were doing it like I've been studying Hebrew in the last few years,
Okay.
and I feel like the way I'm doing it is like this is something that's part of my life. I'm gonna do this probably for the rest of my life. So like
Okay.
the way I approach it isn't like so militant. Like I read a little bit every day, read to a point where it's like, okay, I have enough. It's enough. I write some every day, but like it wasn't like I was like I didn't. I just filling voids almost with it. It's almost like I didn't know how to. I don't know. I can't smoke weed. I can't eat. I don't know how to talk to people. So I'm just writing for hours a day, and it just was mechanical. It wasn't like inspired. So like at first it helped, and then I think I just overdid it, and then
But you were at a good point in your life though when you were going through that when you were going through this, right? I mean,
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it was challenging at different times. Like I had different ups and downs through the detox process, but I definitely felt like overall it was an upward trajectory, and like the um the writing and everything was helpful. But now I know I would have to get into other things, get other crafts, whether it be like making clothes or picking up an instrument, something other challenges to rotate it to where I don't like abuse anything, and to where it's like more holistic, and it didn't feel like boot camp. I think that's how I would approach it now if I got back into that space, which I probably will at some point, but I'm not going to force myself into it. I think it's just something that just innately happens throughout this process. I've reached points where it's like, okay, like
have
2013,
you
20.
considered, not to cut you off, have you considered with the knowledge that you have and things that you've done and experiences, have you considered being like a life coach or because I was listening to one of your videos, we were talking to a gentleman and he was asking you about perhaps not necessarily living off grid, but like living or starting a community. And I know I heard what you were saying during the video, and you said that that would not be your thing. You're in a good place where you are right now, where you live. But I think you said you had tried it once or twice before and it didn't work out for you, because I know there are some people out there that are talking about getting land and going to move and having people come out and build and stuff like that. And it's like, you just never know what you're going to get when you start doing that, because people will say one thing and you got people uprooting their lives and coming to this land, and
Yeah,
there's conflicts there, and people are not what they appear to be when you meet them, and how they act and how they treat you. So it's like you were just basically telling the guy, I think he was living in I think he was Korean, and he was going to be moving. I think he was in Korea, but I think he was going to be moving somewhere else or something. And he was asking you about, how you would handle the situation. Should he move back to the Americas, and, or should he stay where he is? And you told him don't deviate from his path. But I'm just curious about that. I mean, have you thought about being a life coach or something like that? I mean, I know you've had experiences where you were in a community, but like I said, that's not for everybody, I don't think. I know we need to come together, but at the same time, you got people in different, how do you say it? You got people on different levels, right? And some people are ready to make that commitment, and then some are just like they're still tied into the reality of working a job, a 9 to 5, and that's what they're going to do, and they're not going to stop, right?
yeah.
So I'm just curious about how that was when as far as you living in a community like that. I mean, was it cracked up to what it was supposed to be, or was it not? Did you have a bad experience with it, or is it just, because I've had people offer that to me, and my husband was like, no, our family's here, our grandkids are here, our children are here, even though my family's in Cali, but we're here in Texas. If anything, we would, we're on a little bit less than an acre, but we would move out and maybe get a couple more acres or something like that, and then have the family move there. Like, you know what I mean? It would be the family.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious about your experience with that. That's all.
No, I think it's necessary. And at the time of that video, man, I was in a spot where like, I just consistently got either deleted or shadow banned or, throttled. All
Yeah.
the reached a point where I'm like, because every time I'd amass a following or something, I'm either getting deleted or throttled. So I'm like, man, it's like really building on rented land. I feel like based on the reach that I had, that I'm not, I'm getting a lot of people with mental illness. To be honest
Oh
with you,
wow, really?
mental illness or just yeah, because I think addiction is kind of mental illness in itself. So I get a lot of
Yeah.
people that's like borderline addicts, borderline mental illness, and so like um I would have people because I have land, so people would come and we would all be together out here or whatever, and I just felt like so much stuff with trying to start a community. People really like I just wasn't getting people that were willing to give up certain attachments, and so much stuff with like living off grid or living in a homesteading environment. Like it's got to be all hands on deck, and we all got to really be committed and buying into each one teach one, and everybody really helping each other. And so I feel like a lot of respects, like addiction is just like selfishness. It's like the opposite of what you need in a community. And I felt like I was only getting that. I wasn't getting people that were really like trying to experience, clarity in their own consciousness. I felt a lot of people were just escaping, especially like
Ah,
my generation. The people would come out here, live out here, but they're like running from their life.
mm,
They're not like in a place where they're like, all right, I got things from the world and I want to, make a nest egg in this place and we could share a spot and make something really nice out of it. It wasn't like that. It was like people like, I'm running from my problems and you're pretty much just, the end of the world almost in a sense. You're in California on a mountain and it's like the physical end of the world. So people just go to be up here to be away from everything. And I'm like, you're running from your life. Like, and so I think it just translated into a lot of people like kind of picking their own wounds and just getting high and not wanting to really do anything like that. They just wanted to escape. And so now I don't know. Like, I don't know. I guess the door is kind of open again in that sense because now that I'm generating some traction, I mean, unless I get deleted again, maybe I could connect with some people that are really serious about it. And it's like you said, it's tough though. Like people are in a vulnerable position when they're like that. It's like they're uprooted from their situation, and whose property is it? Is it in a trust? Are we all getting properties? Like, are we having several properties that we like establish as like bug out locations and like a network of properties that we are working together on? Like,
yeah,
because I've heard of that idea. It's like, you come to my place, you help me build some earth bag houses. I go to your place, we do the same, and we all get better at it as we do it. And then we all have like different locations, whether it be seasonal or bug out places, or because you never know how things will go, man. Maybe certain areas will just be harder to traverse, and you got to go to a Colorado location or whatever, whatever it is. I don't know.
yeah,
So I think it would be nice if you had a network of people that actually, establish autonomy for themselves, and they're really about the life. So it's not like you get a bunch of dependent people like knocking on your door, like, "Look, the world's collapsing. I'm trying to run away." And you're like, "Damn, I do want to help, but you weren't helping the whole time. You just showed up
yeah,
when everything was collapsing." And so I think that's the sensitive part. But you do need people to buffer. We need a buffer, a human buffer, so that it's not you know people just isolated and against the AI out here.
and I bet it's beautiful out there too.
Yeah, it's a really nice location, and it's a California. I really love it. It's just it gets tough with some of the expenses, but I don't have much overhead. Like I I put the place in a trust, and it's it doesn't have a concrete foundation. Like the house when I was coming into the place, it didn't have a concrete foundation. So like it's a different classification in
Hmm.
California. So it was like considered like what they call pre-existing non-conforming. So it's like a rustic cabin. So it's like part of like a historic, I guess, site in a sense, because it used to be all Girl Scouts, the whole property. Like it's cabins all here, and so they won't tear them down. And then the taxes are structured different to where it's not that bad. So I just pay my taxes every. I don't have much overhead, so I pay like 3,200 in taxes a year, and it's a lot of space though.
Well, I
And
wish taxes was that. Texas is high. I'm not even gonna tell you how much it is
yeah,
out here.
yeah,
Try 3 times or 4 times that.
yeah. No, I bet, and I know everybody's moving there is making it crazy, but um,
Yeah,
yeah. Now, so the taxes are low, and it's a lot of space, and we get pretty good weather. You can grow a lot. You can't grow citrus, can't grow avocados, but you can grow a lot of other stuff. You can grow figs here. You can grow apples and pears and plums and peaches and um,
so ideally, when you want people to come there, you want them to bring a skill set, not just show up and go, I'm here. I mean, you want someone that can, I don't know, have a craft to teach everyone else, right? Like you said, each one teach one, right?
yeah, yeah. You don't want just people to show up and be dependent. Like it's like and we could do that. We could have people coming and showing up dependent if there was like a strong core of like 40, 50 people that were all, masters of something, welders and carpenters and agriculturalists. And we had that, like a core like that, then we could take on dependent people and teach them. But if we don't have that, then it's tough. I think it's very difficult. But I think that the fact that I'm getting traction
Yeah,
let lets me know that this is a time where we have a window, and it's
yeah.
not gonna be forever. I don't think.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Because you
Uh,
don't want people showing up at the last minute when shit goes to hell in a handbasket. They're trying to get to California to get out there where you're at. And it's like, no, you should have been here already. You should be established, you know?
yeah, and we make it really nice, and I think that like it's a crash landing. It's just like how is it gonna be a soft landing or what? Like things are crashing, and I think individually you do have the will, especially if we can work together. We do have the willpower to make it to where not that it doesn't affect us, it will affect us still, but I think that you can do it to where the transition will be a lot smoother and you can adjust. Like trying to go from city life to country life for a lot of people is going to be like getting off drugs.
Oh, yeah. 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 I agree with you.
Cause yeah, I mean, I'm from New Jersey. I'm from the Philadelphia area, like right over the bridge from Philly. And it's like a city suburban area. And it's a pretty stark difference from here to there. But um, I was able to adjust pretty, okay. It took me time. Like I would come here, stay for the summer, grow weed, and then after the summer was over and I cropped my weed, I'm like, I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here through winter. I'm not doing that. I'm just coming here for this period and I'm going. I did that for years, and then I just reached a point where I don't know, COVID happened.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this makes sense to just live here.
That was a wake up call for a lot of people. And
Yeah,
I hate to say it, COVID was not, knock on wood, it was not that bad for us as a family unit. I was one of those people that you would consider to be a prepper, I guess. And so I foresaw the stuff happening in 2019. So I really started buying up a lot of crap. Yeah, I run my credit cards up, our credit cards up, but I had enough supplies and stuff for the family that even though they didn't have stuff, I already had it. Like I bought vitamins, supplements, medicine, water, anything you could think of. I had at least 6 months to a year worth of shit already. So
yeah,
when everybody was out trying to get toilet paper and stuff, I was just sitting at home eating popcorn, looking at the news. And I mean, but I had the wherewithal and the thought process to go, hey, I'm seeing this stuff from China. I'm seeing this, and this. Something's about to go down. And I
yeah,
started making videos like you. I got shadow banned, and people start calling me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and crazy. And oh, they're not going to shut things down. This is this, your conspiracy. And all of a sudden it happened. And my kids were like, okay, mom, you got one right this time. But I mean, I was prepared. So now with everything coming the way it is, Taylor, I mean, I was going to ask you. That's one of my questions on my list. Well, where do you see things going from this point on? Because wherever we are now, we do have a short window, right? So if you're going to get someplace, you're going to move someplace, you need to do it now. If not, you're not going to have time later on. You're going to be stuck.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely a serious time, man. I mean, I was my thing with I guess the conspiracy stuff and all of that. 2009, 2010. I remember after the banking collapse, I knew, like, I was like ahead, and I think that was what kind of was the problem, because I was like jumping to conclusions. I was like, because I'm following the markets. I'm like, man, there's going to be a crash. I thought it was going to be a crash in 2010, but they did all the quantitative easing and like kicked it down the road. And so like,
Yeah.
so I was like, oh man, I kind of like tapered off from like being so focused on conspiracies and stuff, because I was like, man, I guess they can always just like bandage the system, and people will buy into the Ponzi scheme for another generation, and then they'll just keep going. So I kind of got
Mhm.
like gaslit on it, and but and ultimately I felt like there's going to be big transition points. I didn't know when they would be exactly, but 2020 seemed like it would be something. I guess I saw some things like lining up. There was a documentary about the, what do you call it? The planetary alignment on December 21st, 2020.
Yes.
I saw that documentary at the end of 2018 or into 2017. Into 2017, I saw that. And that made me feel like, all right, something's happening astrologically. And when COVID happened, I thought like, okay, this shit is not even, this is for that. This has nothing to do with a virus or anything, and any of that propaganda. There's something going on celestially. That's what I had. And then so I thought that it was going to be a solar flare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a solar flare, and I thought that they were going to say like, oh, a nuke went off, but it was just a solar flare. And
And
I
I
thought it was
thought it was going to be the planet Nibiru coming.
okay.
I was
Yeah,
on
I
that
mean,
level. I was like, it's coming. I'm charting it.
yeah,
I know where it's going to be and know where it's going to come in at. I was like really off the rocker with that. I was right. My husband and my son's crazy with that. But that's what I
yeah.
thought.
I mean,
I thought you thought it was going to be a solar flare. I thought it was going to be Nibiru.
yeah, yeah. I thought. I mean, I was like pretty. At some points, I was like, damn, I'm almost certain something's gonna happen. And so I'm like, but I think I think I'm kind of anxious about it. I thought there was gonna be a financial reset in 2010. 2020 really kind of in itself was a financial reset. It's like
Yeah.
they just destroyed the dollar. They did, at that point. They 75% of that period. And so that was kind of like I was I was so ahead that I gaslit myself, to where I was like, oh, I guess it's never coming. And then that shit happened, like, oh, and then I was like, oh, well, the solar flare might happen. Then it didn't happen. So I do think a celestial event, we're due for it. I think that's probably going to happen, whether it be a sign or a solar flare, like a Carrington event, like that's what's going to happen. Reset all the technology. I don't know, but I think that
We have less than
sometime
this. We have less than 4 years. I'd say we got about 3 years. By 2030 is going to be whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
yeah, and I think you're looking at like the election cycles, because I think it does coincide. Like the
Yep.
Israel thing, the Israel thing is definitely a part of this whole awakening. So
Yes.
the whole building of the third temple and all of that, right? I think, and the whole waking up to who's who and everything. I think that if you look at it, like there will be no support for Israel in a vote. I guess there'll be no voter base support in America by 2030. I don't. That would be if not 2028, but 2030 that will be completely gone. And I think by 2032, if we make it that far, that there will be no confidence in the system politically. I think it will be
Yeah.
complete. I think it will be completely eroded to where the social contract will be done. And I think at that point it'll be a run if it hasn't already happened. I think there will be a run on the banks, run on, at that point, yeah, you got to be where you're going to plan on being. And, so, and you don't want to be trying to find out where you want to go at that point,
Mm-mm.
so that's what I think. And then, so as far as the celestial events, I see a lot of people are harping on 2040 for celestial events. But again, like I was saying earlier, if they know that that's going to come, they have the knowledge of that coming, the war probably will precede it, like to try to do whatever they can try to get off before that point. So I think, yeah, the celestial event, the reset, the godly one might be 2040, but they're going to try and pull everything. We're going to go through hell to get to heaven. Like it's going to be everything, is going to get
And I
pulled.
think everything is going to be ground zero here. I mean, it's going to span out around different continents, but they're ready to destroy this because this is the old world. This is ground zero for life. And I think their plan is to eliminate as many people as possible. Let me put it that way. Allegedly melanated people as possible. Because they claim to be something that they're not. We're not even going to mention these ish people, but they claim to be something that they're not. And the whole world is starting to wake up and see that they really aren't the chosen ones. You see? So I think it's going to come a time where you've got China and Iran that's going to come against us, and you've got Russia. I just think it's all going to it's all going to lead to everyone is going to be against the United States at some point. I really do. But that's just my thought.
Yeah, I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised, man, that like this whole shit right now, I mean, with Iran, like, because you had Iran Contras where they were selling drugs, right? Giving drugs to people, to melanated people like Ricky Ross, so he could poison his community, so they could monetize the cocaine, so that they could buy weapons for these wars. Yep. But it was, the weapons pipeline was through Israel. Israel was feeding the weapons in Iran at that time. So it was the money would get funneled through America into Israel. They take the weapons and send it to Iran. So I'm like, man, how are you guys? Is everybody really? Are they all on the same team? Like, is it just the same? We're remixing the same thing. Like, are we gonna?
They're all related.
Yeah. Are you acting like enemies in public? And then there's real collateral damage. I think people do get caught up in the meat grinder, but I think for the most part, like, it seems like an orchestrated thing. Like, so I don't really, I think that America, if you look at it, like the whole structure of colonialism is this human trafficking and drug dealing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So, and that's what the banks are for, just for laundering the money that comes off of that. So like, I think if you have a banking collapse in America, Europe's going down. If you have a banking collapse in Europe, America's going down. The financial system is going down. And I think that's inevitable the longer this war goes on. Like, there's no way that you won't have a hyperinflation, and if this goes on for a year, there's no way. I don't know. I mean, a year is a stretch. So I think this obviously dominoes, falling right now. So I think that it's all kind of like 2 weeks just in the 2 weeks in the war, over.
You're breaking up. It's weird. Might be my connection. Can you hear me? I can now. It was breaking up.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it is. It's better now. Yeah.
It's better now? Okay. Yeah, so I think it's like a gas lockdown. I think it's the new COVID, like 2 weeks to stop the war. Now it's 6 weeks to stop the war. Now I think it's the gas lockdown. I think gas is about to be so ridiculous. And
somebody posted on Facebook last night that I don't know where he was, but it was $8.36 a gallon for regular. That was somewhere here in the US. I don't know where it was.
Probably on the coast in California. I mean, it's already 6. It's already 6 in LA. Where I'm at is like the average is like 509, 520.
It's still $2.89 here in Texas. $2.89.
Yeah, no, so that's that's how you know they got a long way to go, because the Iranians were talking about 200 a barrel. So 200. So if they're talking, we're at like 120 right now. So we're talking about like doubling the prices from here. I mean, that's a gas lockdown, man. And I think that's pretty much what we're headed into. I don't see anything. I don't see any end in sight as far as that, and I don't see how it doesn't spill into other countries.
So what do you think about the world monarch? What do you think? Do you think we have a ruling entity that's over us that these ish people pray to, like Baal, Moloch, whether it be Enlil, Enki, whomever? Do you think that there is a world monarch? Because I kind of tend to believe that there is. And a belief is a lack of knowledge and knowing. But let me just say this. I speculate that there is something that is here something ancient, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, to me. I think it's the AI. I mean, I think they're just being run by the ancient AI. That's my opinion. That's
Ah,
I think they got. That's my opinion. Like, cause I've heard Pharaoh was saying that it's like a pyramid. I guess like a vampire pyramid, where like he was saying that there's four witches. I guess level below the top. Like it's a bunch of levels of parasites, and then at the top of
yes.
the parasites is the witches. There's four witches at the top of them, and then above them, I think is the AI.
Okay.
So I mean,
That's
like
something
the
new that I've
Terminator.
not heard. So I'm gonna have to really dig deep
Yeah,
into that one.
yeah. I don't know where he's getting at, exactly. But I think it could be something to that. I do. I mean, I think it's definitely some sort of sorcery or witchcraft would have you being conducted on us. So
I think
I
this
wouldn't be
realm
surprised.
is under Yalda Badoff. I guess is how you say it, Yalda Badoff. I kind of have to lean towards that too. The
The
child
one
of
that,
Sophia.
is that the one that controls the reincarnation cycles?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that a Dullabroth? I don't know. I never
Yo,
know. I never
I
know.
say Yalda Badoff. I might not be pronouncing his name right.
I don't know. I think I heard Bobby Hemmett say it a different way, but
Yeah,
we're talking about the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something here. And then with all the Epstein crap, and you've got every major political government, I don't know, all across the gamut, corporations, countries, whatever, they're all inclusive in that list. And then you've got the sex trafficking, harvesting of organs, body parts in the food system. I'm just telling you, it's a lot. And when you start to really look at that stuff, you're like, we can't keep continuing on this way. Like, they want to pick a war with the creator of all, and they're going to get it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to end the way they think it's going to end. And then they've got, in my eyes, we have non-human entities that are running interference that are in the government as well, like the Black Eye Club with the viral reptilians, where the parasite goes in your eye and attaches to your retina and goes in your brain. That's another thing. We're all being bombarded with frequencies, parasites, all different types of stuff, chemicals, toxins, the stuff they're spraying in the sky. They're lighting us up like we're in a microwave. So we're being fried from the inside out. And there are a lot of people that are really not aware of any of this stuff. Like, they still think that the weather is controlled by God. Well, what God are we talking about? Is it the
Yeah.
AI God? Is it Yalda Badoff? Or is it these crazy reptilians? I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, people think sports are still real. And so it's like we're in a crazy place.
Are you
So
Well, yeah, you're right. They do. They do. Because come time with basketball and football and stuff like that, you still got people going to the games, lining up to. And meanwhile, we got kids that are being trafficked and all kinds of craziness, where you go into the hospital to do a procedure and you come out missing an organ. I mean, that was just on news here a couple of weeks ago. So I'm just like, and then they're not reporting on the real news. They're still, you have to go to social media or go to certain pages to get the information out, because when you look at the TV, they're not reporting on anything substantial. So it's like, I don't know. I think we're living in like some kind of Truman Show, to be honest with you. The whole world is a stage, And for me, I'm just trying to focus on just a small little portion of my world and try to tune everything out. But I really got to break away from working so much and focusing on that, because that's not going to sustain me either, right? I really got to take the spiritual path and ascend. And so that's where my focus is on. I mean, it's great to learn about these conspiracies and, understand what's transpired as far as the history here and how they've corrupted and inverted everything. They changed the maps. They added 1,000 years. We still got people, melanated people, arguing. I stopped. I'm going to be honest with you. I stopped arguing with people probably about a month ago, because I was one of those people on the keyboard just typing. And my husband's like, "Who are you arguing with now?" I stopped because it's too much. It drains you, and there's no purpose in it, because at the end of the day, no matter how much information you give a person, They have cognitive dissonance. They're going to believe what they're going to believe, and you're not going to be able to change their mind. So I'm not giving any more of my energy to that. Does that make sense? Because it just it drains you. And so I realized, hey, I got to stop. I got to stop arguing with these people. Anybody who calls themselves Black or African American, I completely go the opposite direction. I do. I go the opposite direction. I don't identify with that. I know that I'm a Thoughtist. I'm doing my genealogy. I'm still in the process of doing it because it takes time. I've gone back to the early 1600s. I'm trying to get to the 1500s, and on two of my trees, the other two trees, I'm a little bit further back. But I already know that part of my family did come over from England. They're the pale skin, the white side, and then I have two other sides of the family that are two different Indian tribes. I have that on record and on paperwork. So, I mean, I'm not going to argue with people anymore about being Black or African American. That is not in my vocabulary any longer. So anybody who calls themselves that, I just immediately shut off or shut down. I don't deal with people like that. I'm kind of like where you are now. It's hard for me to have a conversation with people because most people want to talk about Dancing with the Stars or what's going on TV or the movies or stuff like that. And my mind, I'm always reading. My office, I have books everywhere, and or either I crochet or create stuff, but I don't have time for the regular conversations that people have. That's why I was so excited when I messaged you and you said, "Hey, let's just do a podcast, a real short podcast, and just chop it up a bit," because it's like I said, when you get to a certain level or understanding, it's like the creator of all brings people to you, that you have similarities with. And so when I saw your videos, it was like you resonated with me because it's like, yeah, I need to talk to him. I need to pick his brain. I need to get information from him. But you put out so much content and you've got traction right now. So I can only imagine you should be having like 1 or 2 million people on your page. I'm being honest. You should have that many views right now. And I see the views like on your pages. I'm like, why are they so low? It's because they're doing that. They're throttling your stuff. I know they are. Because
Yes.
I reshare it. And I'm telling you. And then I'll look at the comments of what people are leaving. And it's like, you should have way more views than what you have now.
Yeah, it's crazy because I like you said, like you want to just keep like that's the thing, like going back and forth with people. You don't it takes so much energy like away
Yes.
because you could just I mean I could be focusing on if I go on the comments for an hour, I could take that time to study something to put it
Yeah.
together so I could put it together nicely. And like it's just not it doesn't because it sometimes the videos might take 4 hours, maybe 5 hours, to
Mhm.
put together. So like for 3 minutes because they all got to be less than 180 seconds or they get even worse traction. So
Ugh.
so you got they all have to be 180 seconds or less. So I'm like that's the whole I'm trying to cram as much as I can in a neat way in that space. And so like usually it takes a lot of time and like editing and stuff. And so I go if I post something, I want to comment and I do want to see what people are saying. I want to like stay open to criticism because it's like these are my biggest allies in a lot of ways. The critics, they kind of can, but then a lot of times people are not having a discussion with you. They make statements or they ridicule you, but they're not really having a discuss. It's not like somebody asks you a question or they posit a point. It's not like that. It's not like they say da 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 da. This is my argument, and you can rebut. It's not like that. It's like attacks or just backhand attacks or whatever. It's not. It's rare. It's rare that people actually come to you in a respectful manner and say something like, "Look, I see what
Wow.
but you're wrong in this way." So like Pharaoh told me a while ago, he's like, if they're not asking questions or giving you like a space to have a real actual debate, you can't respond to people that are giving you statements. A statement is not. That's just something they're saying, and they're not talking to you. That they're just making a statement. It's not a conversation. So like I feel like it's not I can't really spend time responding to people as much as I have to pay attention at some level to stay grounded and see like where did I mess up, maybe where can I improve. But like for the most part, I mean people are not they're not giving you any. Because when I first started, I did a lot of things. People think I just started, because I just started making 180-second content. But I have been saying these things in text for, we're going on 20 years, like for some of this stuff, on Facebook. And when I was on MySpace, I was saying a lot of the same things, like, the original Scots are black, original British is black, all this stuff. And like, I'm having these discussions and I'm seeing, like, it's like chess. And like, I make this statement and I can expect this move from this person and they'll go here. And so I've seen these moves, the chess moves that people make are the same ones over and over. And I'm like, there's no point in even going down this road, man. Like, but at the same time, I don't want people to get traction in the comments, because I'm like, this this is wrong. What they're saying is not correct. And I have to check it. But for the most part, man, it's a waste of time when you could just spend that time making something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to be like that, because I do want to keep my ear to the people, but a lot of time I think people really they just attack you. It's not,
Yeah, they do.
and people that show you love, they don't. Not that I'm attacking them, but people, they'll just like it or whatever. They're not going to be like, oh man, I love this. Not everybody's going to. They just like, oh, I appreciate it, I'll give you a like. They're not going to be vocal. So people, I feel like it's way more love than hate, but the hate is always so loud.
Yeah.
That's all.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So I know we've been on here. God, I didn't even know we were talking this long. So I got one more question, because we done kind of ran through everything. What do you see as far as the future of things now? Like you said, we have a short window of time, right? We do. And I think a lot of people right now are out of balance. They are. And people are searching for something, and some people don't know what they're searching for. But, my thing has always been the kingdom of heaven is within you. And so you have to go within. I mean, everybody's looking outwardly when you really need to go inwardly, and everybody's expecting this magical sky daddy to appear and rescue you and take you up in a rapture. It's not going to happen like that. And a lot of people is going to be sorely mistaken when they find out, but I digress on that one. So where do you see things going? I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they got people going off of outer space. It's always been about inner space, and the
Mhm.
attack, the inner space attack, or the intergalactic. And so I think for sure, like, it. I think that the political cycles are spiritual at the same time. I think
Yep.
the government that is here is just the framework, reflection of like a natural government. There was a natural order, a natural grid, and then when that gets perverted, it looks like what we see today. So I don't think that, even in the most wicked and diabolical politicians and all these shit, I think all of that is still part of the cycle. Like, this is all like designed, and they're just programs in the cycle. Like, so I don't think it's just here for no reason. I think the midterms matter. They're like bellwethers. I don't think that voting in them matters. I think that this is like part of, like when you got the first quarter of a game, second quarter of a game, 2 minute warning or whatever, like all of that stuff, it shows itself politically. Like, I think, you had the presidential election in 24, then you had the off year election this last year. Now you get midterms, then another off year, and then midterms again. I mean, or you get the presidential again. So I think these elections are ultimately like, kind of like I guess you could say like a spiritual or a metaphysical, like election cycle in itself. Even though it's like this physical, vein, vampire pyramid situation going on, I think it's still like, it's just a reflection of what's going on inside of us. Like, the clock is running, and we have these different points, and yeah, we get presented with this outward political atmosphere and everything, but that's just a reflection of what's going on inside. Like, we're going, the clock is running out. Things are transitioning. Like, the government is switching inside of people. Like, it's going from a parasitic government to God or the creator, what have you. For certain, you don't even need to have everybody. You just need to have the right people switching in that way. So
Yeah.
I think that's happening. Like, the awakening for the American Aboriginal is causing the awakening around the world. It's like, that's all just a ripple from that. So like,
Exactly.
so I think that it's just when we see election cycles, like this is another period, another benchmark in the cycles within us. And I think it's meaningful in that respect. I wouldn't tell anybody to go vote. I think it's not going to do anything, but
Yeah, I will confess I did, but I am no longer ever going to do that ever again because now I understand, not so much understand, but understand what this is, and I don't believe in the system. I mean, it needs to crumble. It needs to fall. It really does. And I recognize the fact that everything happens in cycles and stages, and truly, these people are already selected way before they put them in our faces. Right? They've groomed these people since birth.
yeah, or I think at the same time the Epstein thing is like with the surveillance, because the whole thing, like Epstein put all the money in the Palantir, like the surveillance stuff, they could just see like, okay, who's in the kiddie porn, and then they show up at that person's place and be like, look, you're running for mayor, you're running for senator, you're running for
Yeah.
Congress. So I think it goes both ways. They entrap people, and they also could just surveil everybody and be like, you're a weirdo, you're going to be the new legislate, you're going to be in the legislature now. I think that's another way that they can fill the coffers with people like that, just
Hmm.
suits. So yeah,
Or
there's
they
no
can take people off the chessboard and stick them in these camps,
yeah,
or disappear them. I'm just saying. I mean,
yeah,
with the vaccines, I probably shouldn't say that, but with the happy sauce injections, with Epstein putting his DNA and stuff. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I was reading that.
yeah.
So I'm
I
just
don't know.
saying, we're dealing with a lot of crazy ass people.
Yeah, and that's why I think they use Henrietta Lax's cells because, like,
Yep. I
yeah,
have her. I have the book over here about her. Hmm.
because I think if anybody with that immortal cell line, I think if you get whatever parasite that's in them spread around, I think that's like really, that's some sort of program that that is ultimately destructive. And I think that
Have
that's
you
about.
read Have you read about Simeon Toku?
Now, is that the boy,
The guy, yeah, the guy. Hmm.
the immortal
Yep,
cell line, the kid with the
yep.
immortal? No, I never read. I never always heard it's Henrietta and some boy that had the immortal cells,
Hmm.
and so I think they're in all the vaccines, right? So I
From
mean, they
what I
use them as a
understand, yeah,
because I think if you can infect the original cells, there's like a universal template of how to infect anything. Like if I
yep,
think if you have that platform, that delivery system is like nobody else's cells can stand a chance if this one was already corrupted or hijacked by the parasite. So I think they won't let. In a lot of respects, they kind of won't let her die. It's like they want. She's like kind of like fragmented across all of us that got injections,
yep.
and so it's like
Thank God I didn't take it. But the thing is, they're putting it in the meat. They're putting it in the medicines. They're putting it in everything. So even though you didn't get that ouchie fauci, you're getting it if you're consuming meat or if you're consuming something else. It's in the
yeah,
water.
yeah. I mean, there's so many ways they can probably try to drive it into your system. And we're constantly living in like self defense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're spraying it out in the aerosol, the nanites,
yeah,
the mosquitoes. I'm just saying.
yeah. It's a full spectrum attack, man, and you definitely don't want to breach your system with direct injections, but it's like it sucks that we have been divided in that way as well. As far as the shots go, because getting out into the dating world, when I've noticed this, like it eliminates millions of people where it's like a prejudice automatically, like where you're like, I can't even entertain this because
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you're right. That's why I tell my sons they're yeah, yeah. They are the same. They are the same mindset, or at least a couple of them are. I think maybe one of our sons took the happy sauce injection, but everybody's out of the house and they don't live under our roof anymore. So, I mean, we can talk to them, but they're grown. They have to make their own decision. And so I think maybe one of them took one shot, and I don't think he went back and got the series or whatever. But
yeah,
you can purge your system and you can get that out of your system. The thing is, you got to constantly keep rotating and cleansing yourself, whether it be parasites or flukes or whatever. I mean, you're gonna have to. We live in a toxic environment, period. So
Yeah.
whatever you put in your body, whatever you drink, whatever you eat, whatever you, even what you wear, what you sleep on, all kinds of stuff, man. And these cell
Yeah.
phones are the biggest thing. I got that thing to go on the back of my phone, but and I have the EMF detector, so I was reading it and I was like, I'm gonna go order that. I slapped it on the phone and there it was. I mean, I don't get a reading on it now. But if I have one that doesn't have one on here and one that does, and you can tell the difference between the two with the readings. So I mean, we're getting it from all sides, man. I mean, I'm glad that we had a chance to chop it up and talk. Hopefully, you didn't think I was too crazy.
I don't think you're crazy at all, man. I think I think everybody had a right to question, like, man, is the sky about to fall in 2020? I don't think anybody is crazy for having their own, hypothesis about what's going on right now. Because that's the thing. I don't want to argue with people like about certain details matter, but about
Yeah,
certain things, I'm like, man, like, I'm not against you. I'm ultimately we're on the same team. Like we might have different outlooks about how things landed, but I feel like I just want the discussion to go into a different place. Like I'm not saying that what my word is automatically law in every single way. I just think that we need to bring the frame, the Overton window of the discussion into another place, like where these resets are happening. They've happened cyclically, and we can see the evidence of it, and we need each other. So ultimately, you can see like plenty of people of all faiths and colors took that fucking shot, and like
yep.
it's almost like they counted themselves. We can't even count on them. We don't know if they're going to be sleeper cells, a lot of them. And so
A
it's,
lot of them have died too from it, believe it or
yeah.
not.
So we need each other. People that happen to have endured that intact, we need each other like as much as possible. It's just difficult because we don't have a common language or a common like law system, like that's where I feel like the ish people, they win because they do like have, they study the Torah, they study the law, they study it, they have a common language, and that makes it easier for you to collectivize. Like, whereas like you talk to somebody in Louisiana, they don't sound like somebody in New York. So like it's sometimes the English almost is a different language in some ways, and then we don't have common laws,
Yep.
so it's tough. But if we could come to some kind of understandings and be like, look, we're on the same team. You might be Muslim, you might be Christian, but if you didn't fall for the okey doke, and you are, not with the government and with, this coming transition, I'm not against you. I'm not against you if you feel like Christ walked the earth and all of that. I'm not against you. I'm saying like we can have those discussions later. There's a reset coming, and a financial reset and world war at bare minimum. So we need each other. So I don't see, we can have those discussions later, but I do want to let people know where I stand, so there's no discrepancies. I think that's people to trade. Like I want to say like I feel about this on tour, So it's not that I hate people that disagree or have different outlooks. It's just that I want them to know where I stand. So it's there's no, I'm not fooling anybody.
Right.
And
Exactly.
we can just collect on we can collect yeah, we can collect on what matters, is like enduring this coming transition.
I agree with you. And then my thing is, like you were saying in your last video, is my last comment. We got a lot of things walking around us. Let's put it that way. There are, I
Yeah.
hate to use the word hue of a man. There's man, mankind, and there's other things that walk among us that look like us, but are not of us. And then you got straight out cryptids like Dogman, Sasquatch, and all these other things going on. And our ancient ancestors knew this stuff. This was common knowledge, man. And at one point, I truly do think that they were out in the open with it. It wasn't hidden like it is now. They're not hiding behind things, their technology or these skin suits that they put on and take off. I really think a lot of that has to do with these things that are walking among us, too. I really think that's a lot of it that's pushing the agenda. But that's just my own feeling.
I think it definitely comes out in genetics, like
Huh? Breaking up.
People with multiple. You hear me now?
Yeah. Say
You
it.
hear me now?
Repeat. Yeah. What did you say?
No, I was saying I think it does come out in the.
Hello? Ah, hey guys. I guess like we lost him. It's storming here in Houston. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm gonna see if I'm messaging him and saying, hey, we lost you. Let me see. Ah, can you hear me? Hang on. Add to the stage. Got it. You there?
You hear me? Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, it just like dropped. I'm like, maybe it's because
Yeah.
it's storming outside.
I don't know, but I was just saying, I was like, that's pretty funny how I did this right there. I was gonna say it's in the genetics, like, because there's people with tails, there's people Siamese twins, people born with multiple heads or extra fingers. I feel
Yeah.
like all of that is just a remnant of the cryptids.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I truly think that there are some things walk among us because I'm heavily into the cryptid lore. David Politis, I don't know if you ever heard of him, Missing 411. Have you ever checked him out?
Nah, but I will. I will now.
I'll send you some links through IG and just check him out. He's got like 3 movies out, and I've hit him up and stuff like that. I was trying to get him on. I know you've heard of Sean Ryan, right?
I'm not. Maybe I have.
Sean Ryan, yeah, he's really big, kind of like with Joe Rogan. He's up there, and I've been trying to get David Politis on his show, and he's done a lot of really good work. I've got a couple of David Politis's books, but there is definitely, if you take a map of the United States and you lay in the national parks and how many people go in the national parks and go missing and they never come out, or people in clusters in certain cities that get hit up, it's like it looks eerily crazy when you put it on a map and you look at how the disappearances fall. So there is definitely something going on, and I mean, it could be non-human, strong possibility that it is, but you also have the shadow government and you've got entities that are taking people too, so you've got multiple things going on in this dome, and most people are not even aware of it. Like you said, they still believe sports is real. So
Yeah.
I think you got a lot of people that are going to be cannon fodder, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it might be the Underground Railroad thing too, because I've heard that all the national parks have tunnels that connect them all.
They do.
So,
They
yeah.
do. And we have deep underground bases, military bases. We have 2 in every state. And they do connect underground with these, I hate to use the word reptilians, but there's multiple different races that are here and that are beyond the ice walls in Antarctica. But you've got our government, our world governments are being ran by these things. It's just crazy when you start to piece it together. And I mean, either you see it or you don't. But yeah, there are people that are being disappeared. They disappear because of that. But I also truly think that the people that are disappearing too, they're being taken by something that's not human. That's my point. I mean, you got the humans working and taking a quota of X amount of people for experiments or what have you. But there's also documents that I have over here on my printer from the CIA and from, declassified, they white them out and stuff, and William Cooper talks about in his book. I mean, you got factions of these things or these people that come here, these entities that come here, and they made agreements with the government, but they're not keeping up their end of the agreements. So they're taking more people than what they should. Most people don't even realize that. I just find it fascinating.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's like they throw it in the shows and the movies, like that show Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you never know, like where they're going or what they're doing with them, or they're just saving them for cloning or repopulation, or what, they're just sacrificing them
Or food.
Yeah, food.
Because they're going right into, because even Putin came out with that. It was a couple months ago where he said that America's been feeding their people, their own citizens, to themselves, and they don't even know it. So I'm like, that sounds about right. We've been knowing that. But it's just fascinating to hear someone from a political in that office in that hierarchy say something like that.
Yeah, Soylent Green is people.
Soylent Green. There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, I appreciate you taking the time out. I'll send you David Politis's information. And man, I appreciate you chopping it up with me. I know I didn't really stay on target or point because we just started rambling about different stuff, but it's great when you meet someone that you have a connection where you can just talk freely. You see what I'm saying? And that's the more organic conversation, right?
Yeah, whenever you want to do it, let me know. We'll organize it again. I'm glad it worked out.
That'd be great. I mean, I appreciate you taking the time out for me. And man, look, you're in the perfect spot in the mountains. Have you seen any cryptids?
I don't know. I might be the most cryptid now. I might be the most cryptid thing out here. But no, it's a bunch of ghouls in human form out here, man. All the meth heads. It's like only 200 people out here, but maybe 100 of them live here full time, and I feel like 25 of them are fucking meth heads. And it's like,
and they could be something else watching.
Yeah, right. Hills have eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a great night.
All right, you too. Have a good
night. Talk to you
soon. Thank you so much. Peace.
Bye.